The Teachings of Buddha, a path to inner peace and enlightenment. Introduction. In a world often consumed by materialism, stress, and conflict, the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, offer timeless wisdom. Rooted in compassion, mindfulness, and the quest for understanding the nature of existence, Buddha's teachings guide us toward liberation from suffering and the attainment of inner peace. This hour-long journey will delve into the core principles of Buddhism, exploring the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and other profound teachings that illuminate the path to enlightenment. Part 1. The life of Buddha. Buddha's teachings are inseparable from his life story. Born as Prince Siddhartha in the ancient kingdom of Kapilavastu, he was shielded from the realities of suffering by his father. However, his encounters with old age, sickness, death, and an ascetic led him to abandon his royal life in pursuit of truth. The Buddha taught mindfulness through practices such as vipassana, insight meditation, and anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. These techniques help us cultivate clarity, inner peace, and understanding of impermanence. Part 5. Compassion and loving-kindness. Metta. Compassion is central to Buddha's teachings. Practicing metta involves radiating loving kindness toward ourselves, our loved ones, neutral people, and even those we find difficult. By expanding our capacity for empathy and understanding, we break down barriers of hatred and division, creating harmony within and around us. Part 6. The concept of impermanence. Anicca. The Buddha emphasized the impermanent nature of all things. Recognizing impermanence allows us to let go of attachments and expectations, reducing suffering. Life's transient nature is not to be feared but embraced as an opportunity to appreciate each moment and grow spiritually. Part 10. Conclusion. The teachings of Buddha are a beacon of wisdom, compassion, and hope. They remind us that the path to freedom and enlightenment lies within us, waiting to be discovered. As we walk this path, we not only transform ourselves but also contribute to the well-being of all beings. Closing reflection. As you reflect on these teachings, take a moment to breathe deeply and center yourself. Remember that the journey to enlightenment is not a destination but a continuous process of growth, understanding, and compassion. May these teachings inspire you to live a life of peace, wisdom, and harmony. Part 11. The importance of meditation. Meditation is the cornerstone of Buddhist practice, a tool for self-discovery and transformation. The Buddha taught that through meditation, we can calm the mind, sharpen our focus, and gain insight into the true nature of reality. Part 16. Overcoming fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety are natural but often paralyzing emotions. The Buddha taught that these feelings arise from attachment and ignorance. Through mindfulness and wisdom, we can face our fears with courage and clarity. Meditative practices, such as observing the breath or repeating affirmations, help anchor us in the present moment, reducing the grip of fear. The teachings remind us that fear is temporary and that by understanding its causes, we can transcend it. Part 17. Living with compassion. Compassion is the heart of Buddhism. The Buddha taught that true compassion arises when we recognize the interconnectedness of all beings. It's a call to alleviate suffering wherever we see it, whether in ourselves or others. Acts of compassion, listening without judgment, offering help to those in need, or simply being kind, create ripples of positivity that extend far beyond the immediate moment. Generosity weakens the grip of attachment and greed, paving the way for spiritual growth. Acts of generosity ripple outward, inspiring others to give and creating a cycle of goodwill. In giving, we receive the profound gift of connection and fulfillment. Part 27. Understanding interconnectedness. The Buddha taught that all things are interconnected, a concept known as pratatya samutpada, dependent origination. Our actions, words, and thoughts affect not only ourselves but also others and the environment. Recognizing this interconnectedness encourages us to act with greater awareness and compassion. We see that caring for others is not separate from caring for ourselves. This understanding can inspire us to live more sustainably and harmoniously, fostering a world of mutual support. Part 28. The path of non-attachment. Non-attachment is a central theme in Buddhism, often misunderstood as detachment or indifference. The middle way is a balanced approach to life that avoids extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. This principle applies to all aspects of life, including how we think, act, and relate to the world. It teaches us to find harmony, to not cling to pleasure or despair in pain, and to remain steady amidst the ups and downs of existence. Part 13. The role of karma in Buddhism. Karma refers to the law of moral cause and effect. Every thought, word, and action carries energy that shapes our experiences. Positive actions rooted in kindness, generosity, and understanding lead to beneficial outcomes, while negative actions fueled by greed, anger, or ignorance result in suffering. The Buddha emphasized that we are not bound by past karma. Through mindful living and ethical choices, we can transform our present and future, breaking free from harmful patterns and planting seeds for lasting happiness. The Buddha himself lived with minimal possessions, focusing instead on the wealth of the heart and mind by simplifying our lives. Whether by decluttering our spaces, reducing unnecessary commitments, or appreciating the simple joys, we create room for deeper fulfillment. Simplicity is not about sacrifice but about aligning our lives with our values and finding contentment in less. Part 24. Finding balance in relationships. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, are an integral part of life. The Buddha taught that harmony in relationships arises from understanding, patience, and compassion. Practicing mindful communication, listening deeply, and responding with kindness can transform even the most challenging relationships. The Buddhist concept of upekkha, equanimity, helps us maintain balance, neither clinging to nor rejecting others but meeting them with an open heart. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and the recognition of each person's inherent worth. Practice letting go, even in small ways, and notice how freedom begins to blossom in your heart. Part 37. The practice of loving kindness. Loving kindness, or metta, is a transformative meditation practice that fosters unconditional love for all beings. Begin by cultivating kindness toward yourself, silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease." Then, extend these wishes to loved ones, acquaintances, and eventually to all beings, even those who challenge you. Loving kindness dissolves barriers, heals emotional wounds, and strengthens our connection to others. It reminds us that compassion has no limits. Part 38. The freedom of non-judgment. Judgment arises from a lack of understanding. The Buddha encouraged us to approach life with curiosity and openness rather than criticism. When we judge ourselves or others, we create separation. Non-judgment invites us to see the world as it is, not as we think it should be. It's a practice of observing without labeling, allowing wisdom and compassion to guide our actions. By releasing judgment, we free ourselves from negativity and create space for growth and connection. Part 39. Cultivating inner strength. True strength comes not from physical power but from resilience and courage. The Buddha's teachings empower us to face life's challenges with equanimity. Inner strength is nurtured through self-awareness, patience, and the confidence that we can navigate difficulties with wisdom. It's the quiet determination to keep going, even when the path is uncertain. Draw upon your inner strength by reflecting on past challenges you've overcome. Let these experiences remind you of your capacity for growth and transformation. Part 40. A vision of peace. The Buddha's ultimate message was one of peace, not just for individuals but for the world. By cultivating peace within ourselves, we contribute to a more harmonious society. Allow silence to fill the gaps and give the other person the gift of your full presence. Through mindful listening, we create deeper bonds and cultivate empathy, which are essential for peaceful relationships and compassionate living. Part 83. The wisdom of patience. Patience is not merely waiting for things to unfold. It is the ability to remain calm and composed in the face of delay, discomfort, or difficulty. The Buddha taught that patience is a key virtue for overcoming frustration and cultivating inner peace. When we are patient, we acknowledge that life unfolds in its own time. Rather than pushing or forcing, we learn to trust the process and allow things to develop naturally. In moments of challenge, practice patience by taking a deep breath, observing your thoughts, and allowing the moment to pass. Through patience, we become resilient and adaptable to life's inevitable ebbs and flows. By recognizing the impermanence of all things, we begin to let go of attachment and accept the flow of life. Rather than fearing change, we embrace it as a natural part of existence. Whether it's the changing seasons, the passage of time, or the transformation of our thoughts and emotions, impermanence reminds us to appreciate each moment. Through the wisdom of impermanence, we find peace in the face of uncertainty and learn to navigate life's inevitable cycles with grace. Part 89. Embracing simplicity. Simplicity is a theme woven throughout the Buddha's teachings. In a world filled with distractions and complexities, simplicity invites us to focus on what truly matters: inner peace, kindness, and wisdom. Simplify your life by letting go of excess possessions, unnecessary distractions, and the pursuit of external validation. Instead, cultivate a life of contentment with what you have and a deep appreciation for the present moment. In simplicity, we find clarity and freedom. We can live more fully by focusing on what truly nourishes our hearts and minds. Part 90. The path of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful practice in the Buddha's teachings. Holding on to grudges and resentment only weighs us down and perpetuates suffering. Forgiveness, on the other hand, frees us from the past and allows us to move forward with peace and understanding. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful actions, but it means letting go of the anger and hurt that bind us. It's an act of compassion, for both ourselves and others. Start by forgiving yourself. Recognize that we are all fallible, and the path to healing begins with releasing judgment and embracing understanding. When we forgive, we create space for love and transformation to enter our hearts. Part 91. The role of meditation in mental clarity. Meditation is a cornerstone of the Buddha's path. It cultivates mental clarity, emotional stability, and a deep connection with the present moment. But the Buddha taught that true freedom comes from letting go of this need for control. Surrendering to life's flow doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. Rather, it means accepting that not everything is within our power and that we must trust the universe and the process of life. Letting go of control allows us to embrace uncertainty with grace. It invites trust, and through trust, we find peace. When we release our grip on the world, we are liberated from anxiety and fear, embracing life as it comes. Part 95. Practicing right view is one of the components of the Eightfold Path, and it involves seeing the world as it truly is, free from illusions and delusions. The Buddha taught that understanding the nature of suffering, impermanence, and non-self is essential to developing wisdom. To cultivate right view, we must open our minds to the truth of reality, accepting that all things are temporary and interconnected. Our views are shaped by our past experiences and conditioning, so it is important to challenge our assumptions and beliefs regularly. When we see the world through the lens of wisdom and compassion, we act with greater clarity and understanding, reducing suffering for ourselves and others. Part 96. The transformative power of acceptance. Acceptance is a transformative practice. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we resist what is, when we fight against reality. Acceptance does not mean passive resignation. Rather, it is about acknowledging things as they are without judgment. By accepting ourselves and others, we create space for healing and growth. Acceptance allows us to release the need for control, giving us the freedom to flow with life's natural rhythms. Practice acceptance by embracing what is, without attachment to how things should be. In doing so, we cultivate inner peace and create harmonious relationships with others. Part 97. The role of humility in spiritual growth. Humility is an essential quality on the path of spiritual growth. The Buddha taught that arrogance and pride cloud our minds and hearts, preventing us from experiencing true wisdom. Humility, on the other hand, allows us to remain open, receptive, and teachable. Humility involves recognizing that we do not have all the answers and that we are part of a larger whole. It is the willingness to learn from others, to admit our mistakes, and to embrace our imperfections. By practicing humility, we cultivate a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for the teachings and the experiences that help us grow. Humility opens the door to wisdom, compassion, and true understanding. Part 98. The value of simplicity in spiritual life. Simplicity is not just about material possessions, it is a way of being. May I be at ease. Then, expand that wish to others, friends, strangers, and even those with whom you have conflicts. Loving kindness transforms our hearts, creating a ripple effect of peace and compassion in the world. Through this practice, we heal ourselves and others, creating a more loving and harmonious world. Part 100. The importance of equanimity. Equanimity is the ability to remain balanced and calm in the face of both joy and sorrow, success and failure. The Buddha taught that cultivating equanimity is essential for mental peace and spiritual progress. When we are equanimous, we are not swayed by our emotions or external circumstances. Instead, we maintain a steady and composed mind, observing life's ups and downs without becoming attached to them. Practice equanimity by observing your emotions without identifying with them. Recognize that all experiences, whether pleasant or unpleasant, are temporary and ever-changing. Generosity is not just about material giving, it also includes giving our time, energy, and compassion. A kind word, a listening ear, or a helping hand can be just as valuable as a monetary donation. When we give without attachment, we experience the true joy of generosity, seeing the positive impact we have on others. Generosity transforms both the giver and the receiver, fostering a deeper sense of community and connection. Part 105. The importance of mindful eating. Mindful eating is an essential practice for cultivating a healthy relationship with food. The Buddha encouraged his followers to eat with mindfulness, paying attention to the sensations, flavors, and textures of each bite. Eating mindfully allows us to nourish our bodies with awareness and gratitude. When we eat mindfully, we slow down and engage all our senses in the experience of eating. We notice the colors of the food, the smells, the tastes, and the textures. This helps us to savor our meals and avoid overeating, as we become more attuned to our hunger and fullness cues. Mindful eating also helps us to connect with the food we consume, appreciating its origins and the effort it took to bring it to our plates. Through mindful eating, we develop a deeper sense of respect for our bodies and the earth, fostering a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Part 106. The power of compassionate speech. Compassionate speech is a practice that involves speaking with kindness, honesty, and respect. The Buddha taught that our words have the power to heal or harm, and it is essential to use speech as a tool for spreading peace and understanding. To practice compassionate speech, we must first cultivate awareness of the impact of our words. Before speaking, ask yourself, will this bring harmony and understanding? Is it truthful and kind? Will it uplift others? By speaking with compassion, we create an environment of trust and openness. Compassionate speech can diffuse conflict, heal wounds, and foster meaningful connections with others. Part 107. Finding peace in solitude. The Buddha often spoke about the value of solitude. While community and connection with others are important, there is also great value in spending time alone, in quiet contemplation. Solitude allows us to reconnect with ourselves, reflect on our lives, and deepen our practice. In solitude, we can free ourselves from the distractions of the outside world and listen to the stillness within. It is in this stillness that we can observe our thoughts, feelings, and reactions, gaining insight into the nature of our minds. The practice of solitude does not mean isolation or loneliness. Rather, it is about finding inner peace and clarity, allowing us to return to the world with a renewed sense of purpose and presence. Part 108. The power of patience in relationships. Patience is a cornerstone of healthy relationships. The Buddha taught that mindfulness can be cultivated in every aspect of our daily lives, from washing dishes to walking in nature, to interacting with others. Mindfulness means being fully present in the moment, without distraction or judgment. To integrate mindfulness into your daily life, begin by focusing on one task at a time. Whether you are eating, working, or conversing, give your full attention to the present moment. Observe your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting caught up in them. Mindfulness brings clarity, peace, and joy into our lives. It allows us to live more fully, to engage with the world in a deeper way, and to find beauty in the ordinary moments of life. Part 110. The importance of awakening the heart. The Buddha's teachings were not just intellectual, they were aimed at awakening the heart. True wisdom comes not only from understanding with the mind, but from deepening our capacity for love, compassion, and empathy. To awaken the heart, we must open ourselves to others, embracing their joys, suffering, and humanity. Practice empathy by putting yourself in the shoes of others, understanding their struggles, and offering support. When we awaken the heart, we move beyond the confines of our ego and connect with the deeper fabric of life. We live with compassion, generosity, and wisdom, transforming both ourselves and the world around us. Part 111. The role of self-reflection in growth. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation. The Buddha encouraged his followers to turn inward and examine their actions, thoughts, and motivations. By regularly reflecting on our behavior, we can identify areas where we need to improve and cultivate wisdom. To practice self-reflection. Create a quiet space for yourself each day to review your actions and thoughts. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? Part 30. A closing prayer for peace. As we conclude this reflection on the Buddha's teachings, let us come together in a moment of stillness. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings live in peace and harmony. May we carry the light of wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness into the world, inspiring others to walk the path of peace. Take this prayer into your heart, and let it guide your actions, thoughts, and intentions. The journey is ongoing, but with each step, we grow closer to the truth and to ourselves. Part 31. The path of right effort. The Buddha emphasized the importance of right effort, one of the Eightfold Path's core principles. It involves cultivating positive qualities while letting go of harmful thoughts and behaviors. Right effort is not about striving excessively but about directing energy wisely. It includes 4 key practices: preventing unwholesome states of mind from arising, overcoming unwholesome states that have already arisen. Part 20. A closing reflection. As we journey through the teachings of the Buddha, let us remember that these lessons are not just ideas to be understood but practices to be lived. Each step we take on this path brings us closer to peace, wisdom, and compassion. Take a moment now to reflect on these words. Breathe deeply, let go of any burdens, and commit to bringing these teachings into your life. May this journey inspire you to live with mindfulness, kindness, and an open heart. Part 21. The power of silence. Silence is a powerful teacher, often overlooked in the noise of daily life. The Buddha frequently retreated into silence to reflect, meditate, and connect with the truths of existence. Practicing silence allows us to listen to the deeper whispers of our hearts and minds. It helps us observe the constant chatter of our thoughts and discover the space between them, a space of stillness and peace. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, but the presence of mindfulness. The Buddha acknowledged that doubt could cloud our judgment and weaken our resolve. He encouraged self-inquiry and reflection to overcome it. When doubt arises, ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow? Am I acting from fear or wisdom? By questioning self-doubt and seeking support from teachings and community, we build confidence and clarity. Remember, the Buddha himself faced doubts but overcame them through persistence and trust in his path. You too have the strength to move forward. Part 34. The role of community. The Buddhist concept of Sangha, or spiritual community, is essential for growth. Surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals provides encouragement, wisdom, and accountability. A supportive community reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles or triumphs. Whether it's meditating together, sharing insights, or simply listening, the Sangha nourishes our journey and keeps us connected to the greater whole. Find delight in simple pleasures, a bird song, a gentle breeze, or a smile. Joy is contagious, spreading light wherever it is nurtured. By awakening joy within ourselves, we inspire others to do the same, creating a cycle of happiness and connection. Part 48. Accepting what is. Acceptance is a powerful tool for inner peace. The Buddha reminded us that resistance to reality creates suffering. By accepting things as they are, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. Acceptance doesn't mean complacency, it's about seeing clearly and responding wisely. When faced with challenges, ask yourself, what can I control, and what must I let go? Through acceptance, we find clarity, resilience, and the ability to move forward with an open heart. Part 49. Building a life of integrity. Integrity is living in alignment with our values. The Buddha's teachings emphasize honesty, kindness, and respect as the foundation of a virtuous life. Reflect on your actions and their impact on others. Enlightenment is not an escape from the world, but a profound understanding of it. It is freedom from attachment, fear, and ignorance, replaced by wisdom, compassion, and boundless love. The seeds of enlightenment exist within each of us. By walking the path with mindfulness, integrity, and perseverance, we nurture these seeds, allowing them to blossom into the radiant truth of our being. Part 61. The balance of effort and ease. The Buddha taught the importance of balancing effort and ease in our spiritual practice and daily lives. Too much effort can lead to burnout, while too little results in stagnation. Imagine tuning a musical instrument. The strings must not be too tight or too loose. Similarly, approach life with mindful determination, tempered by self-compassion. When you find this balance, your actions flow naturally, and challenges become opportunities for growth. By honoring both effort and rest, you create harmony within yourself and the world around you. Embrace solitude not as loneliness, but as a sacred opportunity to nurture your soul. Even a few moments of stillness each day can bring clarity and serenity. Part 55. The art of resilience. Life's challenges are inevitable, but the Buddha taught that resilience allows us to face them with grace. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about responding to it with strength and wisdom. When difficulties arise, remember that they are temporary. Reflect on the lessons they bring and trust in your ability to overcome them. Draw upon your inner resources and seek support from others if needed. Resilience grows each time we rise after a fall, transforming pain into wisdom and adversity into opportunity. Part 56. Nurturing inner peace. Inner peace is the foundation of a fulfilled life. The Buddha's teachings guide us to cultivate this peace through mindfulness, meditation, and ethical living. Inner peace doesn't mean the absence of conflict, but the ability to remain calm and centered amidst it. Will it benefit others as well as myself? By practicing reflection, we make conscious choices that lead to greater harmony and understanding. Reflection grounds us in the present moment, enabling us to act with clarity and purpose. Part 87. The importance of community. Sangha. The Buddha emphasized the importance of community or Sangha in spiritual practice. A supportive community helps us stay on the path, offering encouragement, wisdom, and a sense of belonging. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who share your values, and who challenge you to grow. Engage in practices together, such as meditation, discussions, or acts of service. In times of struggle, the Sangha provides comfort and strength. Together, we move forward in our collective journey toward enlightenment. Part 88. The teachings of impermanence. Anicca. Impermanence is one of the core principles of the Buddha's teachings. Everything in life is in a constant state of change, and nothing lasts forever. The Buddha taught that the highest form of generosity is giving with a pure heart, without seeking recognition or reward. Generosity can take many forms: giving of your time, resources, or love. By giving selflessly, we experience joy, not from what we have gained but from the act of giving itself. When we release the expectation of receiving, we open ourselves to the flow of abundance and cultivate a heart full of compassion and love. Part 80. The interplay of wisdom and compassion. The Buddha's teachings emphasize the balance between wisdom and compassion. Wisdom without compassion can lead to cold detachment, while compassion without wisdom can lead to ineffective action. True spiritual practice involves cultivating both wisdom and compassion simultaneously. Wisdom allows us to see things clearly, while compassion moves us to act in ways that benefit others. Through the integration of wisdom and compassion, we find the right path to healing and liberation, for ourselves and the world. This practice helps us develop greater self-awareness and become more mindful in our daily lives. Self-reflection allows us to learn from our experiences, embrace our mistakes, and celebrate our progress. Through this process, we deepen our understanding of ourselves and our spiritual journey. Part 112. Understanding the nature of desire. Desire is one of the central topics in the Buddha's teachings. He recognized that desire, when unchecked, leads to suffering. However, the Buddha also acknowledged that desire itself is not inherently bad, it is our attachment to desire that causes pain. Desire arises naturally, but the key is to observe it without attachment. Instead of trying to suppress or eliminate desire, we learn to see it for what it is, a passing sensation. By recognizing the impermanent nature of desire, we can prevent it from taking control over us. The Buddha's teachings offer us a path of liberation from unhealthy desire. Through mindfulness, we can develop a balanced approach to desire, neither clinging to it nor rejecting it, but understanding it and allowing it to pass without attachment. Part 113. The power of acceptance in times of change. Change is inevitable, and the Buddha taught that our suffering often arises when we resist change. Whether it's a change in our circumstances, relationships, or the world around us, resistance to change creates anxiety and frustration. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to face change with grace. The Buddha encouraged us to accept the impermanent nature of life and embrace the flow of change with an open heart. When we accept that change is a natural part of existence, we release the burden of resistance. This acceptance creates space for growth, learning, and adaptation, helping us navigate the inevitable changes in life with equanimity and peace. Part 114. The importance of cultivating joy for others. The Buddha taught that true happiness comes not only from cultivating joy within ourselves but also from wishing happiness for others. By wishing others well, we create a ripple effect of positivity that extends beyond our own lives. Practice this. Take a moment each day to offer heartfelt wishes for the well-being of others. Whether it's a loved one, a stranger, or even someone you have difficulty with, send them loving kindness. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at ease. Cultivating joy for others enhances our sense of interconnectedness and deepens our compassion. When we spread joy, we contribute to a more harmonious and loving world. Part 115. Overcoming the fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is a natural human response. However, the Buddha taught that fear arises from our attachment to security and the desire for control. When we are attached, we create suffering, because all things are impermanent, and attachment causes us to cling to what will eventually change or fade. Non-attachment does not mean abandoning relationships or responsibilities. Instead, it means engaging with life fully while remaining open to change and loss. We can love and care for others without becoming dependent on them for our happiness. Through non-attachment, we free ourselves from the cycle of craving and dissatisfaction, allowing us to experience life with greater peace and freedom. We let go of the need to possess, control, or cling, and in doing so we find true liberation. Part 121. The path of right livelihood. Right livelihood, another key element of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, encourages us to choose work that is ethical, beneficial, and aligns with our values. The Buddha recognized that our profession can either contribute to our spiritual growth or hinder it. We often identify ourselves with our job, nationality, gender, or even our thoughts and emotions, but the Buddha taught that these are all transient and impermanent. Non-identification frees us from the limitations of these attachments, allowing us to experience the fullness of life without being confined by narrow definitions of who we are. It encourages us to recognize our true nature as beyond all labels, a nature that is interconnected with all beings. Through the practice of non-identification, we experience liberation from the ego and its desires. We become more present, authentic, and open to life as it unfolds. Part 129. The healing power of acceptance. Acceptance is a powerful practice that allows us to find peace in the face of difficult circumstances. The Buddha taught that resistance to reality causes suffering, while acceptance opens the door to healing and transformation. Practice acceptance. Begin by acknowledging your feelings and experiences without judgment. Part 132. The power of patience in overcoming challenges. Patience is one of the virtues the Buddha emphasized as a path to overcoming suffering. Life is filled with challenges, and the way we respond to these challenges often determines our peace of mind. Instead of rushing or reacting impulsively, the Buddha taught us to cultivate patience and equanimity in the face of adversity. When we practice patience, we stop resisting the present moment. Instead of feeling frustrated, anxious, or angry, we learn to embrace life as it comes, trusting that everything has its time and place. Through patience, we can endure difficult times with grace and composure. Patience also deepens our understanding of impermanence. We come to realize that difficult situations, like all things, are temporary and will eventually pass. By developing patience, we learn to trust the unfolding of life, knowing that everything happens in its own time. Part 134. The importance of keeping good company. The Buddha taught that our companions have a significant influence on our spiritual progress. Just as a seed needs the right environment to grow, our spiritual practice flourishes when we surround ourselves with wise and virtuous individuals who support our growth. Good company inspires us to stay on the path of virtue and wisdom. The Buddha encouraged us to seek the company of those who embody the qualities we wish to cultivate: kindness, generosity, patience, and mindfulness. Their example serves as a reminder of what is possible on the spiritual path. by surrounding ourselves with those who share our values and aspirations, we create a supportive community that encourages our growth. Good company nurtures our spirit, offers guidance in times of need, and helps us stay grounded in our practice. When we see suffering in the world, it is our responsibility to act with kindness and wisdom to alleviate that suffering. Compassionate action can take many forms: offering a kind word, helping those in need, listening with empathy, or offering our resources to others. The Buddha believed that when we act with compassion, we not only help others but also heal ourselves. Compassionate action creates a ripple effect that spreads throughout the world. By living with compassion, we contribute to a world of greater harmony, kindness, and love. Part 139. The power of meditation in transforming the mind. Meditation is one of the most important practices in the Buddhist tradition. The Buddha himself spent many years in meditation, cultivating mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Through meditation, we can quiet the mind, develop inner peace, and gain clarity about the nature of reality. The Buddha emphasized that forgiveness is not for the benefit of the person who has wronged us but for our own peace and liberation. When we forgive, we release the emotional weight that keeps us tied to past hurt. We let go of the stories we tell ourselves about the injustice done to us and free ourselves from the grip of negativity. Forgiveness opens the heart, allowing love, compassion, and understanding to flow in. The Buddha taught that by forgiving others, we also forgive ourselves. We recognize that everyone is imperfect and that we too have made mistakes. By practicing forgiveness, we create space for healing, both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. Part 143. Cultivating a spirit of generosity. Generosity, or dana, is one of the key practices in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that giving, whether it is our time, resources, or love, is an essential part of spiritual practice. Generosity not only helps others but also enriches our own hearts and minds. Through self-realization, we come to understand that we are not defined by our thoughts, emotions, or circumstances. We are the awareness that observes them, and in this recognition, we find freedom from suffering and the potential for boundless joy and peace. Part 146. The healing power of presence. The Buddha taught that true healing comes from being fully present in the moment. Often, we are so caught up in the past or the future that we neglect the power of the present moment. By practicing presence, we reconnect with the here and now, allowing ourselves to experience life fully, without distractions or worries. Presence is a form of mindfulness, where we focus all our attention on the task at hand, whether it is eating, walking, or listening. When we are present, we engage with life in a deeper way, free from the distractions of the mind. The healing power of presence lies in its ability to bring us into alignment with our true nature. After years of rigorous asceticism, he realized that neither indulgence nor extreme austerity could lead to enlightenment. Instead, he discovered the middle way, a path of balance and mindfulness. Part 2. The Four Noble Truths. The Buddha's first teaching after enlightenment was the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering. Dukkha. Life is inherently unsatisfactory due to birth, aging, sickness, death, and other forms of suffering. The truth of the cause of suffering, samadaya. Craving and attachment, driven by ignorance, are the root causes of suffering. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha. It is possible to overcome suffering by extinguishing craving and attachment. The truth of the path, magga. The Noble Eightfold Path is the way to liberation. These truths encourage us to acknowledge suffering, understand its causes, and follow a practical path toward freedom. Part 3. The Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path serves as a guide for ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. Each aspect of the path is interdependent and equally important. Right view, understanding the nature of reality and the Four Noble Truths. Right intention, cultivating thoughts of compassion, goodwill, and non-harm. Right speech, speaking truthfully and avoiding harmful words. Right action, acting ethically and avoiding harm to others. Right livelihood, engaging in work that is honest and does not cause suffering. Right effort, cultivating positive states of mind and abandoning harmful ones. Right mindfulness, maintaining awareness of the present moment. Right concentration, developing deep states of meditative absorption. Part 4. The practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness lies at the heart of Buddhist practice. By being fully present in the moment, we can observe our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. Two primary forms of meditation emphasized in Buddhism are samatha, calm abiding. This practice focuses on cultivating a tranquil mind by concentrating on a single object, such as the breath. It brings mental clarity and relaxation, creating a stable foundation for deeper insight. Vipassana, insight meditation. Here, practitioners observe their thoughts, emotions, and sensations without attachment or aversion. This practice reveals the impermanence, suffering, and selflessness inherent in all phenomena. By dedicating even a few minutes each day to meditation, we can begin to experience the profound benefits of this practice: reduced stress, greater emotional resilience, and a deeper connection to the present moment. Part 12. The middle way. The middle way is a central concept in Buddhism, born from Buddha's own experiences. After years of indulgence as a prince and extreme asceticism as a seeker, he realized that neither extreme led to enlightenment. Part 18. Patience and tolerance. The Buddha often spoke of the importance of patience, especially in the face of adversity. Patience is not passive endurance but a form of active strength. It allows us to respond to challenges with wisdom rather than react with anger or frustration. Through the practice of tolerance, we learn to accept differences and embrace the diversity of human experiences, fostering peace in our relationships and communities. Part 19. The goal of enlightenment. Enlightenment, or nirvana, is the ultimate goal in Buddhism, a state of complete liberation from suffering and the cycle of birth and death. It is characterized by profound peace, clarity, and freedom from all attachments. While the path to enlightenment may seem daunting, the Buddha taught that it is achievable by anyone willing to walk the path with sincerity and perseverance. The present moment is a gift, a doorway to peace, joy, and understanding. By living in the now, we embrace the fullness of life. Part 64. The power of perspective. Perspective shapes how we experience the world. The Buddha taught that by shifting our viewpoint, we can transform challenges into lessons and pain into wisdom. When difficulties arise, pause and reflect. Consider the situation from different angles, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How might this experience serve my growth? By broadening our perspective, we gain insight, compassion, and resilience, enabling us to navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom. Part 65. The practice of letting go. Letting go is a central theme in the Buddha's teachings. Whether it's attachment to material things, grudges, or expectations, clinging leads to suffering. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means releasing what no longer serves us. It's about creating space for new opportunities and experiences. Start small. Part 81. Embracing the art of silence. Silence is not merely the absence of noise but a profound practice of stillness and inner peace. The Buddha often sought quietude as a means to deepen his insight. Silence allows us to listen more attentively, to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. In moments of silence, we connect with our deeper wisdom, free from distractions and judgments. Practice silence regularly. It is a refuge, a space where we can hear the subtle whispers of our hearts and minds, guiding us toward greater understanding and peace. Part 82. The art of mindful listening. Mindful listening is a powerful practice that fosters connection and understanding. The Buddha encouraged listening with full attention, free from judgment or distraction. When we truly listen, we create space for others to express themselves and feel heard. To practice mindful listening, let go of the urge to respond immediately. Instead, focus on the speaker's words, tone, and emotions. Part 84. The freedom of non-self. Anatta. One of the most profound teachings of the Buddha is the concept of anatta, or non-self. The Buddha taught that the self as we perceive it is an illusion, constantly changing, impermanent, and without an inherent essence. When we let go of the idea of a fixed self, we free ourselves from the traps of ego, pride, and attachment. We realize that we are interconnected with all beings, and our true nature is boundless and ever-changing. By contemplating the concept of non-self, we cultivate humility, compassion, and a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. This realization brings profound liberation, freeing us from the suffering of attachment and desire. Part 85. The path of right livelihood. Right livelihood is one of the essential elements of the Eightfold Path. It involves choosing a profession or livelihood that aligns with ethical principles and benefits all beings. Right livelihood refers to earning a living in a way that is ethical and does not contribute to suffering. Right effort involves cultivating wholesome states of mind and letting go of unwholesome ones. Right mindfulness teaches us to be fully aware and present in each moment, and right concentration is the practice of developing deep concentration through meditation. By following the Eightfold Path, we develop a life of balance, wisdom, and compassion. Each step guides us toward freedom from suffering and helps us embody the teachings of the Buddha in our daily lives. Part 149. The power of loving-kindness. Metta, loving-kindness, or metta, is one of the most transformative practices in Buddhism. It involves cultivating an unconditional, boundless love and goodwill towards all beings, regardless of their actions or circumstances. The Buddha taught that by developing loving-kindness, we can overcome the barriers of anger, fear, and resentment that separate us from others. To practice loving-kindness, we begin by wishing happiness and well-being for ourselves. Once we are able to extend compassion to ourselves, we expand this love to others, first to loved ones, then to friends, acquaintances, and even those we may have conflicts with. Ultimately, we cultivate loving-kindness toward all beings, even those who seem distant or difficult. Loving-kindness is not just a feeling, it is an active expression of care and compassion. By practicing metta, we transform our minds and hearts, creating a more harmonious and compassionate world. Through this practice, we discover that the love we give freely to others is also a gift to ourselves, Part 150. The Wisdom of Impermanence, Anicca. One of the central teachings of the Buddha is the doctrine of impermanence, known as Anicca. The Buddha taught that all things, whether physical or mental, are in a constant state of flux. Nothing lasts forever, everything is subject to change. The Buddha taught that by following the path of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, we can gradually remove the mental afflictions that keep us trapped in samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The journey to enlightenment is not a quick or easy one, but it is a gradual process of awakening to the true nature of reality. As we cultivate mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion, we begin to see things as they truly are, free from the distortions of ignorance, craving, and aversion. Enlightenment is not a distant goal but something we can begin to experience in each moment. Through practice, we gradually free ourselves from the limitations of the ego and the grasping mind. The path to enlightenment is the path of awakening, and it is open to all who are willing to walk it with dedication and compassion. Part 152. Embracing the middle way. The middle way is a fundamental teaching of the Buddha, which advocates avoiding extremes in both our physical and mental practices. Part 153. Understanding the nature of suffering, dukkha, suffering or dukkha, is a central theme in the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha taught that suffering is an inevitable part of human life. It is not just physical pain, but also the mental suffering that arises from desire, attachment, and ignorance. Dukkha manifests in many forms: birth, aging, sickness, and death, as well as the suffering caused by the impermanence of all things. Understanding suffering is the first step toward overcoming it. By acknowledging that suffering is part of the human experience, we can stop denying it and start looking for ways to relieve it. The Buddha's teachings provide a roadmap for transforming suffering through understanding its causes and eliminating them. The nature of suffering is not to be feared, but understood. By facing suffering with courage, wisdom, and compassion, we can begin to transform it. We come to see that while suffering is inevitable, it is not permanent. Through the cultivation of wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion, we can transcend suffering and live with peace and joy. Part 154. The significance of right effort. Right effort is one of the components of the Eightfold Path and refers to the determination to cultivate positive mental states while letting go of negative ones. The Buddha taught that our minds are like a garden. If we cultivate wholesome thoughts and actions, the garden of our mind will bloom with wisdom and compassion. But if we allow unwholesome thoughts, like greed, anger, and ignorance, to take root, the garden will become overrun with weeds. Right effort involves four aspects: preventing unwholesome states from arising, abandoning unwholesome states that have already arisen, cultivating wholesome states that have not yet arisen, and maintaining wholesome states that have already arisen. Through right effort, we gradually purify the mind, replacing negative habits with positive ones. The practice of gratitude is an antidote to suffering and a gateway to lasting contentment. Cultivate joy. Take time each day to reflect on the blessings in your life. Appreciate the simple things: sunlight, a kind word, good health, or the love of friends and family. Even in the face of challenges, find something to be grateful for. Gratitude nurtures a joyful heart, which in turn enhances our overall well-being. When we choose joy and cultivate gratitude, we transform our perspective and experience the world as more vibrant and meaningful. Part 104. The practice of generosity, dana, generosity or dana, is a central practice in Buddhism. It involves giving freely without expectation of return, sharing what we have with others, and supporting the welfare of those in need. The Buddha taught that generosity leads to happiness and spiritual growth, as it diminishes attachment and cultivates a sense of interconnectedness. Whether with family, friends, or colleagues, patience allows us to approach others with understanding, compassion, and tolerance. The Buddha taught that patience helps us navigate the challenges and conflicts that inevitably arise in human interactions. In relationships, we often encounter differences of opinion, misunderstandings, and disagreements. Patience encourages us to listen attentively, to give others the benefit of the doubt, and to remain calm in the face of conflict. When we practice patience, we allow others to be themselves, without rushing or trying to change them. Patience fosters harmony, respect, and deeper connection. Through this practice, we create relationships built on love, trust, and mutual understanding. Part 109. The role of mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness is not limited to formal meditation practices. By surrendering to the present moment, we experience life more fully, with greater clarity and joy. We become attuned to the beauty of the here and now, finding peace in each breath and each step. Part 118. The importance of being a light for others. The Buddha taught that we should strive to be a light for others, offering guidance, kindness, and support on their path to freedom and enlightenment. Just as a candle illuminates the darkness, we too can bring light to the lives of others through our actions, words, and intentions. Being a light for others means offering compassion, wisdom, and encouragement when they need it most. It means being present for others, listening with empathy, and sharing the teachings that have helped us along our own journey. When we are a light for others, we brighten the world and help others find their way out of darkness. Our actions have the power to inspire and uplift, creating a ripple of goodness that spreads far and wide. We become more present in each moment, appreciating the beauty and uniqueness of life as it unfolds. Part 125. Compassion for the self and others. Compassion is not limited to others, it must begin with ourselves. The Buddha taught that we cannot offer true compassion to others until we first cultivate compassion for ourselves. This means recognizing our own suffering, accepting our flaws, and treating ourselves with kindness and understanding. Compassion for the self involves nurturing our emotional and physical well-being, forgiving ourselves for our mistakes, and acknowledging our inherent worth. It allows us to heal and grow, creating a foundation for extending compassion to others. Once we develop compassion for ourselves, we are better equipped to offer it to others. True compassion arises from understanding the interconnectedness of all beings, and it moves us to help alleviate suffering in the world. It allows us to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. Part 131. The importance of gratitude in spiritual practice. Gratitude is a powerful force that transforms the heart and mind. The Buddha taught that by cultivating gratitude, we can shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. This shift in perspective brings peace and contentment, allowing us to appreciate the blessings in our lives, both big and small. Practice gratitude. Take a moment each day to reflect on the things you are thankful for. Whether it's the warmth of the sun, the love of friends and family, or the simple pleasures of life, gratitude opens the heart to joy. Gratitude not only brings us closer to inner peace, but it also strengthens our relationships and encourages generosity. By recognizing the goodness in our lives, we naturally begin to share that goodness with others. The Buddha taught that through discipline, we can transform our minds and overcome the obstacles that keep us trapped in suffering. Self-discipline is not about harshness or punishment but about making wise choices that align with our spiritual goals. Practice self-discipline. We must first cultivate mindfulness and awareness of our thoughts, words, and actions. By observing our behavior and making conscious choices, we can redirect our energy toward actions that support our spiritual growth. Self-discipline also involves setting boundaries and avoiding indulgence in distractions that lead us away from our true path. By practicing moderation, focus, and self-control, we strengthen our willpower and develop greater clarity on our journey to enlightenment. Part 137. The role of renunciation in finding freedom. Renunciation is not about rejecting the world or living in isolation, but about letting go of attachments that bind us to suffering. Part 14. The practice of detachment. Detachment, or letting go, is not about withdrawing from life but engaging with it wisely. The Buddha taught that clinging to desires, possessions, and even identities leads to suffering. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Detachment doesn't mean apathy, it means embracing life fully while understanding its impermanence. It's about loving without attachment, working without expectation, and living without fear of loss. Part 15. Cultivating joy and gratitude. While Buddhism often focuses on overcoming suffering, it also encourages the cultivation of joy. The Buddha taught that gratitude for the present moment and appreciation for simple blessings, such as a sunrise, a kind word, or a shared meal, can transform our perspective. By practicing gratitude daily, we shift our focus from what we lack to the abundance we already have, fostering contentment and inner peace. The Buddha taught that the more we cling to material possessions, status, or desires, the more we suffer. Renunciation involves freeing ourselves from the attachment to these things, not because they are inherently bad, but because our attachment to them leads to dissatisfaction and suffering. Renunciation allows us to experience the world without becoming attached to it. By letting go of the need to possess or control, we find freedom. We come to realize that happiness does not depend on external circumstances but on our inner peace and contentment. Through renunciation, we learn to live more simply, appreciating the present moment and letting go of the distractions that keep us from experiencing true joy. Part 138. The healing power of compassionate action. Compassionate action is the natural outflow of a heart that is connected to others. The Buddha taught that true compassion is not just a feeling but a call to action. Part 7. The nature of the self. Anatta. One of the most profound teachings of the Buddha is anatta, the doctrine of no self. It challenges the idea of a permanent, unchanging self. By understanding that the self is a collection of changing phenomena, we release ego-based attachments and find liberation. Part 8. The Wheel of Life and Samsara. The Buddha described existence as a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth called samsara. This cycle is driven by karma and fueled by ignorance and desire. Liberation from samsara, known as nirvana, is achieved by following the path and extinguishing the causes of suffering. Part 9. Practical applications in modern life. The Buddha's teachings remain profoundly relevant today. By practicing mindfulness, ethical conduct, and compassion, we can navigate the complexities of modern life with greater ease. These principles can help us manage stress, build meaningful relationships, and foster a sense of purpose and inner peace. Meditation helps us observe our thoughts without attachment, allowing us to cultivate greater awareness of our mental patterns. This awareness is the first step toward transformation. As we meditate, we develop the ability to detach from unwholesome thoughts and emotions, replacing them with wisdom and compassion. The power of meditation lies in its ability to transform the mind from one of confusion and suffering to one of clarity and peace. By committing to a regular meditation practice, we can unlock the potential for profound spiritual growth and healing. Part 140. The wisdom of non-attachment. Non-attachment is one of the core teachings of the Buddha. He emphasized that suffering arises when we become attached to people, objects, ideas, or outcomes. Attachment creates clinging, and clinging leads to fear, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. As we desperately try to hold on to what is impermanent, to practice non-attachment, we must first acknowledge the impermanent nature of all things. Recognizing that everything is subject to change, we can begin to loosen our grip on what we hold dear. Non-attachment does not mean indifference or lack of care. It simply means understanding that nothing lasts forever and that our happiness does not depend on holding on to transient things. By practicing non-attachment, we open ourselves to freedom. We stop relying on external circumstances to bring us peace and instead cultivate inner contentment, regardless of what is happening in the outside world. This wisdom allows us to experience life more fully and live with less fear and more joy. Part 141. The transformation of anger into understanding. Anger is one of the most destructive emotions we can experience. The Buddha taught that anger arises from ignorance, misunderstanding, and attachment to our own views and desires. When we are angry, we are often reacting to something we don't understand or can't control. To practice generosity, we begin by giving without expectation of anything in return. Whether it is a small act of kindness or a larger offering, the key is to give freely and from a place of love. Generosity shifts our focus away from our own desires and helps us develop a sense of interconnectedness with others. Through generosity, we cultivate compassion and gratitude. We learn to let go of attachment to material possessions and discover the true joy of giving. The Buddha taught that generosity creates positive karma, leading to future happiness and spiritual growth. Part 144. The importance of mindful speech. The Buddha emphasized the importance of speech in our spiritual practice. Our words have the power to create harmony or discord, to heal or harm. Mindful speech involves speaking with intention, honesty, kindness, and compassion. Recognizing that our words can deeply affect others. To practice mindful speech, we must first cultivate awareness of our words. Before speaking, we can ask ourselves, is what I am about to say true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? If our speech does not meet these criteria, we can choose to remain silent. Mindful speech is a way to create peace and understanding in our relationships. By speaking thoughtfully and with care, we promote harmony, reduce conflict, and create an environment where others feel heard, valued, and respected. Part 145. The path of self-realization. Self-realization is the journey toward recognizing our true nature and understanding our place in the world. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to look within and see beyond the ego, recognizing that we are not separate from the universe but an integral part of it. Self-realization begins with a recognition of our interconnectedness with all beings. As we meditate and practice mindfulness, we begin to shed the illusions of separateness and ego, realizing that our true self is boundless, pure, and free. Non-attachment means engaging fully in life without clinging to outcomes or possessions. The Buddha compared attachment to holding a burning coal. It harms us more than it helps. By letting go of attachment, we experience freedom and are better able to appreciate life's fleeting beauty. This practice allows us to love deeply, work passionately, and live fully, without the fear of loss or the weight of expectation. Part 29. Living each day as a new beginning. Each day offers a fresh opportunity to practice mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddha taught that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the present moment is all we truly have to be. While living each day with intention and gratitude, we make the most of the time we are given. Even small acts, a kind word, a moment of reflection, or a gesture of generosity, can transform an ordinary day into a meaningful one. By embracing the present moment, we release anxiety, regret, and fear, allowing peace to fill our hearts. Part 147. Embracing the teachings of the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are the foundation of the Buddha's teachings. These truths offer a deep understanding of the nature of suffering and a clear path to liberation. The first truth teaches that suffering is an inherent part of life. The second truth reveals that suffering is caused by craving and attachment. The third truth offers hope, showing that suffering can be overcome. And the fourth truth provides the path, the Eightfold Path, leading to the cessation of suffering. To embrace the Four Noble Truths, we must first acknowledge the reality of suffering in our lives and in the world. This understanding is not meant to be bleak but to inspire us to seek the path of liberation. By practicing the Eightfold Path, we align our actions, thoughts, and intentions with wisdom, ethics, and concentration. As we walk this path, we gradually free ourselves from suffering and experience true peace and joy. Part 148. The significance of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is the practical guideline that the Buddha outlined to help us end suffering and attain enlightenment. It consists of 8 interwoven principles that guide our thoughts, actions, and way of living. These principles are right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right understanding means seeing the world as it truly is, understanding the nature of suffering, impermanence, and the interconnectedness of all beings. Right intention is about cultivating a mind that is free from harmful desires and intentions. Right speech encourages us to speak truthfully, kindly, and mindfully, while right action teaches us to live in a way that benefits others and avoids causing harm. Incorporating moments of silence into our lives can foster clarity and inner calm, helping us reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. Part 22. Embracing forgiveness. Forgiveness is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, not only for others but also for ourselves. Holding on to anger, resentment, or guilt creates suffering and clouds our ability to see clearly. The Buddha taught that forgiveness is an act of compassion. It doesn't excuse wrongdoing but releases the burden of anger and allows us to heal. By forgiving, we free ourselves from the chains of the past and open the door to a more peaceful and harmonious future. To forgive is to understand the humanity in others, their imperfections, struggles, and capacity for change. As we practice forgiveness, we learn to let go and grow in compassion. Part 23. The value of simplicity. Simplicity is a profound teaching of the Buddha. In a world driven by excess and consumption, simplicity reminds us of what truly matters. This understanding of impermanence is a key to releasing our attachments and the source of much of our suffering. When we recognize that everything is impermanent, our emotions, relationships, and even the world around us, we can begin to let go of the need to cling to them. We stop fighting against change and instead embrace it as a natural part of life. This understanding allows us to live more freely and peacefully. The wisdom of impermanence is not meant to be a cause of sadness but a reminder to appreciate the present moment. When we realize that everything is temporary, we are inspired to cherish each moment and live fully, free from attachment and regret. Part 151. The path to enlightenment. Enlightenment, or nirvana, is the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. It is the state of perfect wisdom, peace, and liberation from suffering. By nurturing these connections, we foster joy and reduce suffering. Part 25. Working with difficult emotions. Anger, jealousy, sadness, and fear are part of the human experience. The Buddha's teachings encourage us not to suppress these emotions but to observe and understand them with mindfulness. When difficult emotions arise, instead of reacting impulsively, we can pause, breathe, and reflect. What is the root of this feeling? What does it teach us about ourselves? Through awareness and acceptance, we can transform our relationship with emotions, allowing them to pass without causing harm. Over time, we cultivate greater emotional resilience and inner strength. Part 26. Generosity as a path to freedom. Generosity, or dana, is a foundational practice in Buddhism. It goes beyond giving material goods. It's about offering time, energy, kindness, and understanding. When we give selflessly without expecting anything in return, we cultivate a sense of abundance and joy. The Buddha experienced both indulgence in worldly pleasures and self-mortification during his early life, but he found neither path to lead to lasting peace. Instead, he discovered the middle way, living a life of moderation, balance, and wisdom. The middle way encourages us to avoid extremes in our desires, actions, and thoughts. It is about finding harmony between our physical needs and our spiritual aspirations, between indulgence and denial, between attachment and detachment. By embracing the middle way, we avoid the pitfalls of excess and the limitations of asceticism, finding a balanced approach to life that leads to peace and awakening. The middle way is not a rigid path but a dynamic practice of adjusting and adapting to the circumstances of our lives. It is the path of mindfulness, where we are present in each moment and make choices that bring us closer to wisdom and peace. Cultivating wholesome states of mind. Maintaining and developing wholesome states already present. By practicing right effort, we strengthen virtues like patience, perseverance, and determination. It's a gentle but focused commitment to our spiritual growth. Part 32. Mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness is the art of living fully in the present moment. The Buddha taught that by paying attention to each moment without judgment, we can transform ordinary activities into profound experiences. When eating, taste each bite. When walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. When listening, truly hear without distraction. Mindfulness connects us to life's richness and helps us break free from autopilot living. This practice reduces stress, enhances focus, and deepens our appreciation for life's simple pleasures. Mindfulness reminds us that peace is found not in distant goals but in the here and now. Part 33. Overcoming self-doubt. Self-doubt is a common barrier on the spiritual path. Right effort is not about forcing the mind, but about nurturing it with wisdom and perseverance. It requires patience and dedication, but over time, right effort leads to greater clarity, peace, and spiritual growth. To forgive is not to condone wrongdoing, but to release the burden of anger and bitterness. Begin by acknowledging your pain, then practice compassion for yourself and the one who caused harm. Forgiveness is a process, but with patience and mindfulness, it leads to profound inner freedom and peace. It allows the heart to heal and opens the door to new possibilities. Part 52. The strength of humility. Humility is the recognition of our place in the vast tapestry of existence. The Buddha exemplified humility by living simply and treating all beings with equal respect. True humility is not self-deprecation but the absence of arrogance. It allows us to learn, grow, and connect with others without the barriers of ego. Practice humility by listening deeply, admitting mistakes, and appreciating the wisdom and contributions of others. In humility, we discover the quiet strength that nurtures harmony and understanding. Peace begins with small actions, a smile, a kind word, or a moment of mindfulness. As we embody peace, we inspire others to do the same. Imagine a world where compassion guides decisions, where understanding replaces conflict, and where love transcends fear. The Buddha's teachings offer us a blueprint for creating such a world, one step at a time. Part 41. The practice of gratitude. Gratitude is a profound spiritual practice, reminding us to appreciate life's gifts, both big and small. The Buddha taught that a heart filled with gratitude opens the door to contentment and joy. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you are thankful for: the warmth of the sun, the kindness of a friend, the breath that sustains you. By shifting our focus to abundance rather than lack, we cultivate a mindset of appreciation and positivity. Gratitude transforms our perception, helping us see the interconnectedness of life and the blessings within even the simplest moments. Cultivating patience helps us respond rather than react, creating space for thoughtful action and deeper understanding. In patience, we find peace. Part 44. Seeing the world with compassion. Compassion is at the heart of the Buddha's teachings. It's the ability to feel the suffering of others and act to alleviate it. Practicing compassion starts with seeing others as reflections of ourselves. Recognize their struggles, joys, and humanity. Offer kindness, even when it's difficult, and approach every situation with an open heart. Compassion is not a weakness but a profound strength. It bridges divides, heals wounds, and reminds us of our shared journey on this earth. Part 45. The middle way. In modern life, the Buddha's concept of the middle way teaches us to avoid extremes and find balance. In today's fast-paced world, this wisdom is more relevant than ever. Whether it's balancing work and rest, indulgence and restraint, or ambition and contentment, the middle way guides us to a harmonious life. Part 42. Facing fear with courage. Fear is a natural part of life, yet the Buddha encouraged us to confront it with mindfulness and wisdom. Fear often arises from the unknown or our attachment to outcomes. When fear appears, pause and observe it without judgment. Ask yourself, what is the source of this fear? Is it based on reality or assumption? By bringing awareness to fear, we weaken its power over us. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Through mindfulness and self-compassion, we find the strength to move forward, even in the face of uncertainty. Part 43. The beauty of patience. Patience is a virtue that grounds us in the present moment. The Buddha described patience as a form of strength, allowing us to endure life's challenges with grace. When frustration arises, remind yourself that everything unfolds in its own time. Patience is not passive but active, an expression of trust in the process of life. Are they guided by wisdom and compassion? Integrity fosters trust, both in ourselves and in our relationships. By living with integrity, we create a life of authenticity and meaning, inspiring others to follow the same path. Part 50. The eternal journey. The Buddha's teachings remind us that the spiritual path is not a destination but an ongoing journey. Each step we take, no matter how small, brings us closer to truth and liberation. As we walk this path, let us carry the wisdom of these teachings in our hearts. May we strive for mindfulness, practice compassion, and find joy in the present moment. The journey is endless, but it is filled with beauty, growth, and infinite possibilities. Let us walk together, one mindful step at a time. Part 51. Freedom through forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves as much as to others. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger or resentment is like grasping a hot coal. It burns the one who holds it. Seek out those who inspire you to be your best self, and offer your presence as a source of strength for others. Part 35. Embracing change. Change is the only constant in life, yet it is often met with resistance. The Buddha's teachings on impermanence or anicca remind us that everything, both joy and sorrow, is transient. Instead of fearing change, embrace it as an opportunity for growth and renewal. Just as a river flows continuously, so too does life. By accepting impermanence, we learn to adapt with grace and find stability within the flux. Part 36. The wisdom of letting go is an act of liberation. The Buddha taught that clinging to possessions, relationships, or ideas creates suffering. By releasing what no longer serves us, we create space for peace and clarity. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, but trusting the natural flow of life. It's about holding the world with open hands, appreciating its beauty without becoming attached. Reflect on areas where you may lean toward excess or deprivation, and seek a steadier path. Living the middle way allows us to thrive without becoming consumed by the highs and lows of existence. Part 46. The power of purpose. Purpose gives meaning to our lives. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to align our actions with values that promote wisdom, compassion, and peace. Ask yourself, what brings me joy? How can I serve others? When we act with intention and focus on contributing to the greater good, we find fulfillment and direction. Purpose doesn't have to be grand.